Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Partnership Guys podcast, episode 2. We're really excited that you joined us again. Thanks for coming on. Today, we are talking about trust in a partnership, which to me, to us, I think is everything. It's the foundation. I've had some amazing partnerships where the trust has been there to the nth degree, and it's to me, the foundation for everything. And then, of course, I had the one where there was no trust and no respect, and that wound up to be a 10-year lawsuit. So welcome, Todd and Steven, as always. And I'd love for one of you to chime in on what the trust
Yeah,
has
we
meant to the two of you over your amazing partnership.
we've always looked at trust as having being like the salt and the glue of a partnership. It's the salt because trust really adds to the flavor of the partnership and improves the partnership. And when you've got a good trusting relationship in a partnership, it's like glue. It just holds you together. And that's been the kind of the way that we look at trust. It's really fundamental, and it's the foundation of a strong partnership.
I was also in another partnership where trust degraded and it wasn't addressed. And when I decided to repartner with Steven, I said I would never put myself in that situation again. So that's why we're very open and honest about what we talk about. And that's really what allowed us to build off of our, a conversation into a 25-year partnership, is just being aware of it, talking about it, and managing that.
Yeah, because to me, what it really means is that you have somebody else that you can be vulnerable with, that you can share things with, and the trust leads to that you can really be open to talking about anything that you're feeling, and you trust that the other person has your best interest at mind, not their best interest in mind. And that to me is how you know that you can trust somebody, is that when you talk to them, they're looking at you as what they care about is what's in your best interest. And that's what matters to them. And I've had that. I had that with the two of you, and I've had that with many amazing partners, to just be able to say anything and really what I'm feeling and what's going on. And like I said, trusting that we're on the same page together and going to support each other in our journeys. And it's a word that people throw around, but do you back it up with those principles?
I know we've all seen this. We've talked to people in partnerships, both good and bad ones. And you ask somebody, just straight out. I mean, there's so many different factors in partnerships and what makes a successful partnership. But if you ask them, do you trust your partner? If it's a good partnership, they're going to immediately say yes. If it's not a great partnership, they're going to go, well,
Yeah, they'll hem and haw.
not sure.
Absolutely.
Depends.
Yeah,
How do you define trust? Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
tell people, I was like, if you feel like they're sneaking around your back, checking on you, or you're doing the same, trust is eroded. You need to work on that. If there's something I want to know, I go and I will talk to Steven. I will go and I will talk to you. I won't try to circumvent you to figure out, are they telling me the truth? Because I trust you guys implicitly. So if I were, and this happened, if I were to kind of start checking other things from other angles of stuff that I might not have, a lot of visibility to, instead of just going and asking to be shown something, that's when that's a red flag. It's a red flag that trust is starting to degrade or is gone.
Yeah,
Rob, when you were in that one bad partnership, what kind of signs did you see that indicated that you guys had lost that trust, that you just couldn't trust each other anymore?
Avoidance, some anger. Like if you were to ask somebody something, they automatically kind of, charge back at you.
Just kind of went to this critical mindset.
Yeah. Yep. It very quickly happens very quickly. And because it could be one misunderstanding that starts it. And if you don't have open communication to talk through it when it happens, as you know, Steven and Rob, I do believe sunlight's the best disinfectant. Whenever we have our meetings, we talk all right, where are we at? What did we like? What did we not like? And once that stops, and you have to start getting to investigate more, then, you have issues. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just trusting what the other person is doing and having an understanding that they're working in your best interest too. When I went through that with my neighbor, one of the big red flags was that he didn't trust what I was doing. He really didn't. He would question things that I was doing.
Double check
Um,
everything.
Double
That's
check
right.
everything. I would tell him that I did things. There were phone calls that would happen that I didn't know about. And then I would get a phone call from that person saying, your partner just called me and he was asking me questions, and I had the relationship with that person, and so many things. That bad partnership that I had, 10-year lawsuit. He had a full-time job, worked from home, and I made that my job. So I was out during the day, and then he would come over, 5:30, 6 o'clock after he was done, and it was just kind of run through the list of what I did and question just about everything I did. And it was a huge red flag. And we were in a partnership, and on paper, the business was succeeding. There were checks on the desk. We were doing well on paper as a business, but the partnership completely eroded. And I only see it in hindsight. And it was, to me, all because there was no trust, and there was never trust. Good business model, or good business that we started, just
Yeah,
no trust and respect, and it blew up.
it sounds a lot like we've gotten this question a lot of times, is like, how do you just trust somebody? Don't you have to build trust? But the way I look at it is that you've got a choice between assuming trust or not assuming trust when you start to work with somebody. And when we started the partnership, guys, the three of us, we all came to it assuming trust. Now, that doesn't mean that we're, going super deep and completely trusting each other, but it's a hell of a lot easier to build trust when you start from a spot of having and assuming that everybody's coming to some interaction or situation with trust than assuming they're not, because it's way harder to build back trust, right? In that situation. And there's been a lot of benefits of kind of assuming trust to begin with and then reinforcing that, as opposed to each of us having to prove to each other that we're trustworthy.
I mean, one of our favorite quotes is from Ernest Hemingway about trust, is the best way to find out if you could trust somebody is to trust them. Like, you have to be going in with some sort of vulnerability. Now, when we talk about trust, it's not saying become a pushover, let yourself get taken advantage of. I mean, you have to pre-qualify people to a certain extent, but really it starts from kind of a vulnerable position, trust. Because, how do I prove that you could trust me? By me trusting you. And if both or all parties are doing that, then, you could really accelerate the growth of that trust. There is some faith involved.
Yeah, for me also, it's hard. It's hard being an entrepreneur. It's hard being a leader. It's hard being responsible for people. And the thing I love about the three of us is we take that very seriously, that people's lives are affected, and there's a lot there. And for me and the great partnerships I have, we know that. The great partners I have, you guys, if I said, I need a couple days, just give me a couple days, I know it. You guys would look at me and say, hey, do you need longer? Take longer, and we're going to leave you alone for a couple days. You do whatever you need to do, take care of it. With my neighbor, if I said I need a couple days, he would say, okay. But then, the things that he would do in those couple days would, make me run right back to my phone, my computer, deal with it, and say, I can't take the couple days because I don't know what he's going to do. And that's the point of the no trust, is that, it's going to go downhill quickly. Once there's a slippage in the trust, everything else, the business included, is going down the drain. If you
And if
ask
you
me.
have a house, right, and trust is a foundation, as that foundation starts to crumble, water damage, whatever, the house is going to fail. Like, it will collapse on itself if you don't fix it. Trust truly is the foundation of a successful partnership.
Right. And it's a mindset. It's about coming to your partner and coming to any situations in the business or conversations with the assumption that you've got the best interests of the business and the best interests of the partnership in mind. Rob, and what you're just talking about, it sounds like you did that, but your partner did not. Right. He was assuming that you were coming to this trying to take advantage of the situation, when in reality, you just needed some time, and that's how the trust starts to die. And like you said, when that happens, you're in big trouble. You
And,
really got to work hard to get it back.
and to me, once it goes one way, once one doesn't trust the other, quickly, I didn't trust him. That goes both ways in a hurry. It doesn't just go one way, it turns the other way. And when I don't trust, especially my business partner, a really important partnership, that doesn't feel good for me. I want to trust. I don't just want to be trusted. I want to trust. I want to know that who I'm talking to about any important subject is somebody I can trust. And if it's not, then I'll find other people that I do trust, because that's who I want to surround myself with and be around and work towards something great with, is somebody that I truly trust, because it's going to, there's going to be those downs, and the ups, the downs, dealing with it all. The trusting your partner is, to me, the foundation for everything.
And it's not something that you can just assume all the time. It's something you have to work on a regular basis. I mean, Todd and I have been partners for a long time, and there have been many situations over the years where I can certainly speak for myself and say, there was times when I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And instead of going into that mode of, not talking about it, resenting him, and, not addressing the issue, it's jumping on that situation immediately and having a difficult conversation to say, hey, this is the way I'm feeling. I don't understand. Right? Because I don't know what's in somebody else's heart. I don't know what's in their head. And addressing that problem early and addressing it before it becomes a big deal, it's solvable. You can build back that trust. But if you don't talk about it, it's like an exponentially downhill.
Most
so
of the time, it's just like
to...
I'm sorry. Most of the time, it's just miscommunication, and I mean, because really all this boils down to communication. And if it happens. It happens with us. Every once in a while, we'll just be on we'll be thinking about two different things, so we come to something two different ways, and we're just misaligned. And you just kind of talk about it, and then you can get realigned pretty quickly. And then that's where the trust is restored, right, or even grows. I mean, having conflict is really, honest and healthy conflict really helps build trust to a very, strong level. So it's not that, because I trust you, we don't argue, we don't bicker, we don't, bust each other's chops. But I know that it's all coming from an honest and trustworthy place from you. And I know you feel that way from me. So again, I tie it right back to communication. I really do. Being able to talk through it, being able to have tough conversations that you might avoid if you're with somebody that you don't trust, is really the best way to build that trust.
Which to me works for any relationship, and every relationship. It's just, to me, it's the most difficult, and maybe because we are, have been in partnerships, and that's what we do. But business partnerships, it's different. There's a different element to it. It gets harder in a different way. It has to be dealt with in a different way. The business that you're talking about, it's here, it's running, it's not going anywhere. It needs somebody to run it today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. There are no taking breaks. That part of it gets really, really, really hard. Is we have to figure it out quickly, and move forward, because there's a lot to do here. And again, that trust is everything to be able to get there.
Yeah, and the reason most partnerships are not successful, the partnership, not necessarily the business, because like you said before, Rob, you can have a successful business and a crappy partnership, but that's not very fulfilling. Is that
or long lasting.
Partners don't work on building and maintaining that trust, right? They're just running the business, instead of actually working on the partnership. And so it's really important to make sure that you spend time to work on that on a daily basis, if you can. And, we'll talk more about that in future episodes as it relates to vulnerability and things like that. But trust is really the foundation of a successful partnership and a successful business.
And it's successful because you can move faster, right? You're not questioning everything. So if somebody comes with a decision, you trust that it's come from a good place. You can make you could really accelerate the decision making and in turn the growth of the company.
And in the end, avoid something like what I went through, a 10-year lawsuit. In the end, that is, no matter what the business was, as anybody knows, it all went out the window, and then some: time, money, family, more time, more money, more family.
Mental health. I mean, just, it constantly looms over you because that business shuttered shortly after these issues happened, and the lawsuit went on for 10 years. People don't think, oh, shut the business, partnership's over. No, you need to unwind that thing. Just because you don't have income coming in doesn't mean that you're not legally bound. You're not still in a partnership. It might be dysfunctional at that point, but there is more stuff that needs to be done to really unwind a business partnership than some people think.
Yeah. So I hope I trust we've shown you the negatives of not having good trust and the benefits of really having a trusting partnership, so that you can not just have a successful business, but actually a fulfilling life that business gives you. So thanks everybody for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff.